Epictetus was born a slave. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. Not his body, not his location, not whether he lived or died. His master once twisted his leg to demonstrate a point, and Epictetus said, "You are going to break it." The leg broke. Epictetus said simply, "Did I not tell you?" He had no power over any of it. And yet, Epictetus became one of the most psychologically free human beings who ever lived. His teachings on the human mind and the nature of suffering have outlasted the empire that enslaved him by 2,000 years. What did he know about suffering that we have forgotten? That is what this video is about. Welcome to Quietude. Today we are going somewhere most self-help content refuses to go. Into suffering itself. Not around it, not past it, into it. Because here is what I have come to believe. We live in a culture that has declared war on suffering. We medicate it, distract ourselves from it, scroll past it, optimize our way around it. And in doing so, we have made ourselves far less equipped to face it when it inevitably arrives. And it will arrive. For every one of us, without exception. Loss, failure, betrayal, illness, the slow grinding pain of things not going the way we planned, the sharp, sudden pain of things ending without warning. The Stoics did not promise to eliminate this. They promised something far more valuable. They promised to show you that suffering, rightly understood, does not have to break you. That inside it, if you are willing to look, is something that nothing else in life can give you. Let us look. The first thing the Stoics teach us, and the hardest to truly accept, is this. It is never the event that causes our suffering. It is always our judgment about the event. Epictetus said it plainly in his Enchiridion, the handbook he wrote for people who actually wanted to live differently. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions about things. Think about what this means. Really think about it. Two people lose the same job on the same day. One spirals into despair, certain it means they are worthless, that the future is ruined, that life has singled them out for punishment. The other is shaken, yes, but sees it as a doorway, a forced beginning, an opportunity disguised as a loss. The event was identical. The suffering was not. This is not a comfortable teaching because it removes the comfort of blame. We cannot point at the event and say, "That is what broke me." We must sit with the harder question, what story am I telling myself about what happened? And more importantly, is that story true? Or is it simply the first story the frightened mind reached for? Marcus Aurelius, writing in his private journal, words never intended to be read, which is perhaps why they carry such honesty, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. At any moment. Not someday. Not when circumstances change. Now. The second lesson is stranger, more radical, and perhaps the most beautiful idea the Stoics ever produced. They called it Amor Fati, love of fate. Not acceptance of fate, not resignation to it, not the gritted teeth endurance of what cannot be changed. Love. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Not despite what is thrown into it, because of it. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who came 2,000 years after the Stoics, but arrived at a remarkably similar place, described Amor Fati as his formula for greatness. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, but love it. Now, I want to be careful here, because this teaching is easily misunderstood as passivity, as telling someone who is in genuine pain to simply smile and call it beautiful. That is not what this means. What it means is this: once something has happened, once it is the unchangeable past, the only question that remains is what you will do with it. Will you let it be the thing that defines you as broken? Or will you let it be the fire that burns away what was never truly you, leaving something harder, clearer, more essentially yourself? Every person you have ever admired for their depth, their wisdom, their extraordinary capacity for compassion, look closely at their story. Behind almost every one of them, there is suffering they did not run from, suffering they walked into and did not come back from unchanged. The wound is not the end of the story. It is, very often, where the story truly begins. The third lesson is the one no one teaches, because it asks something most people are unwilling to do. It asks you to sit with your suffering long enough to hear what it is trying to say. We live in a culture of rapid relief. The moment pain arrives, we reach for something to dull it. And sometimes, of course, that is necessary and right. We are not monks. We are not required to embrace agony for its own sake. But there is a difference between resting from pain and permanently fleeing it. And a great deal of our unnecessary suffering comes from the energy we spend on the fleeing. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, the deliberate contemplation of difficulty, loss, and death, not to become morbid, but to become intimate with the things we fear most, to discover that we can face them, that we are more than our comfort. Seneca wrote, and I have returned to these words more times than I can count. It is not that I am brave. It is that I know what deserves to be feared, and loss of character is the only thing on that list. Think about your own suffering for a moment. The real kind. The kind that changed you. What did it strip away? Perhaps it stripped away a false certainty, the belief that life owed you a particular outcome. Perhaps it stripped away a relationship that was no longer true. Perhaps it stripped away a version of yourself that was comfortable but small. What suffering takes when we let it do its work instead of fighting it is almost always something we were better off releasing. What it leaves in the cleared space is more essentially you than what was there before. That is not a comfortable truth, but it is, I believe, a true one. A practice to carry 10-20. Ground the philosophy here, practical and direct, but still carrying the depth of everything before it. Before I close, I want to offer you something practical. Not a system, just a question. The kind worth living with, rather than answering quickly. The next time you find yourself in the grip of suffering, whether it is the dull ache of something chronic or the sharp arrival of something new, ask yourself 3 things. First, is this caused by the event itself or by the story I am telling about the event? Can I find even one other way to interpret what has happened? Second, is there anything in this, anything at all, that is trying to teach me something I needed to learn? Not because the universe is cruel, but because growth almost never arrives through comfort. Third, who do I want to be on the other side of this? Not what do I want to happen? Who do I want to become? Because of, not despite, what I am going through. These are not easy questions. They are not meant to be. But the Stoics taught us that the quality of our life is not determined by what happens to us. It is determined by the quality of the questions we are willing to ask and to live inside. Epictetus, the slave who became one of the freest minds in human history, did not achieve his freedom through comfort. He achieved it through an unshakable understanding of what could and could not be taken from him. Everything external could be taken. His chains, his poverty, his broken leg, these were never truly his. But his judgment, his response, the quality of his attention, the integrity of his character, these no one could ever touch. And the same is true of you. Whatever you are carrying right now, whatever is hard, whatever feels like it is asking too much, there is a part of you that cannot be broken by it. A part that watches, that chooses, that remains. The Stoics did not promise you a life without suffering. They promised you something far more enduring, a self that suffering cannot destroy. That is the lesson nobody teaches, and it has been waiting for you in the places you have been most afraid to look. Thank you for going here with me today. This is not easy territory, and the fact that you stayed says something about you. I'd love to know, what has suffering taught you that comfort never could? Leave it in the comments. These conversations matter more than you might think, and I read every one. If this resonated, there are 2 videos that sit alongside this one well. Our meditation on releasing what you cannot control, and the talk on overthinking. I'll link them at the end. And if this channel is new to you, subscribe. We go deep here. Slowly, without pretending the hard things are simple. Until next time, go gently.